Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving deep into the incredibly harrowing psychology of survival. We're going to use an iconic literary escape to look at exactly how philosophical training directly translates to life-saving action. I mean, think about it. What actually happens when theoretical lessons in a safe training room suddenly become the literal only thing keeping you alive? Well, let's find out. We kick things off with the sharp, honestly pretty brutal rebuke from a master to his young student. Watching is not seeing, dead girl. Instantly, this grabs our attention, right? And it plunges us directly into our core theme for today, the absolutely fatal difference between expectation and reality. When you only watch, you just see what you expect to see. But when you truly see, you absorb reality exactly as it is. Section 1. The Art of True Seeing, Perception versus Reality. So before physical combat can even begin, your mind has to be properly calibrated. Let's explore how the first Sword of Bravos, Syrio Forel, establishes this vital psychological baseline using a really deliberate, measured tone with his student, Arya. He illustrates this brilliantly with the famous Sea Lord's Cat anecdote. See, people expected a mythical beast from across the world because of all the hype surrounding it. Their minds literally invented curious ears and an unusual size. But the mundane reality that Syrio actually observed? It was just a fat, ordinary tomcat whose ears had been chewed away in alley fights. He saw the truth simply because he didn't let his expectations cloud his vision. To help Arya achieve this true seeing, Syrio provides a literal, systematic sensory checklist. He really emphasizes that because the heart lies and our heads love to play tricks on us, analytical thought has to come only after raw sensory input. Basically, you observe the physical world first and you process it second. Section 2. When reality strikes, the collision of worlds. Okay, the safety of that philosophical lesson, it shatters instantly when 5 heavily armed Lannister guardsmen and a fully armored White Knight suddenly breach the doors. The theoretical is now deadly real. We're suddenly contrasting the lethal reality of Lannister's steel, chainmail, and sheer arrogance against a dancing master armed with nothing but a wooden stick, a leather vest, and his intense sensory awareness. I mean, on paper, this is an absolute slaughter. Yet, despite that massive physical disadvantage, Syrio uses true seeing in real time. He moves blindingly fast. He completely exploits the guards' own momentum to make them collide into each other. He actively targets unarmored weak points, eyes, throats, kneecaps, shattering bones, and taking down 5 armed men. And he achieves all of this while maintaining perfect spatial awareness, verbally commanding his pupil to escape without ever taking his eyes off his foes. It's just incredible. But as we know, raw perception eventually meets physical limits. Against the pale steel armor of Sir Meryn Trant, the wood clacks one final time. The stick is splintered. And this right here is the exact moment reality overrides skill, forcing Arya into a blind panic as she has to run for her life, leaving her master behind. Section 3. Mantras for Survival, Mental Conditioning in Flight. As Arya plunges into the depths of the castle, her physical fight essentially ends, and her psychological fight begins. Fear cuts deeper than swords. This phrase becomes this powerful, recurring auditory motif echoing in her mind. It completely grounds her as she weaves blindly through the kitchens, totally overwhelmed by the dizzying smells of fresh-baked bread clashing with the shocking sight of a butcher's bloody arms. That mantra is literally the only thing keeping her from completely breaking down. If we track her frantic flight downward and outward, notice the absolutely crucial decision she makes at the turret stair. She actively applies her master's rule to never do what the enemy expects. So she chooses to go down instead of up to the bridge, where they would almost certainly be waiting for her. But the situation just deteriorates completely once she reaches the stables. It's a visceral, horrific scene of flies and frothy red spittle. She finds her father's men, the very men who promised to protect them, slaughtered in the hay. This violently strips away any lingering childhood expectation that adults are going to swoop in and save her. She realizes, terrifyingly, that she is entirely on her own. Section 4. The Point of No Return, the First Kill. Now, all that philosophical training we talked about? It temporarily vanishes in the face of pure, overwhelming terror when a hostile stable boy corners her. As she's frantically searching through a chest for her belongings, he blocks her escape, grabs her arm hard, and forces a rapid-fire confrontation. Her identity as the wolf girl makes her a highly valuable prize for the queen.
In a moment of sheer, unadulterated panic, all of her complex training just disappears. She relies on the absolute simplest, very first lesson she ever learned from her brother: stick them with the pointy end. She drives her sword upward with hysterical strength. It's shockingly sudden. It is brutal and graphic. Her reality has been irreparably changed in a matter of seconds.
Section 5. Conquering the Darkness. Overriding Fear. Carrying the immense, heavy weight of what she's just done, Arya now has to navigate out of the castle and into the pitch-black tunnels beneath the Red Keep. Notice how she actively manages her escalating panic just across the open courtyard. She feels the eyes of the guards on the walls like bugs crawling on her skin, but she forces herself to walk calmly by practically embodying the animal mantras she was taught. Quiet as a shadow, a voice whispers in her head, giving her the courage to simply put one foot in front of the other. But the black hole of monsters presents the ultimate psychological test. Down here, the true enemy is her own imagination. Her mind threatens to conjure the dead stable boy right out of the shadows, imagining his hands curled into claws, just waiting to grab her from the dark. Fear cuts deeper than swords. To conquer the suppressive tunnel, she actually calls upon a chilling, yet somehow deeply comforting memory of her brother Robb in the Winterfell crypts, telling her that there are worse things in the dark than rats. And this brings us to a seriously fascinating survival concept: psychological overwriting. By remembering how she boldly stood her ground and punched a moaning ghost that turned out just to be her brother Jon covered in flour, she actively overwrites her current terror. She realizes, hey, she survived the dark before, and she can absolutely do it again. Through this, she completely regains her emotional control and her situational awareness. So, we return one last time to this vital truth. What started as a simple, abstract instruction in a well-lit training room evolved into the absolute, unbreakable bedrock of her survival in a pitch-black tunnel of horrors. I want to leave you with this final, provocative thought for our explainer today. We've seen exactly how sensory awareness and mental conditioning saved a young girl when her expectations met a brutal reality. So ask yourself, how will your own mental conditioning hold up when the wooden swords in your life are suddenly replaced by steel? Thanks so much for joining me today, and keep seeking the truth behind the expectations.